Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter, and with me I got James.
Hey.
And today we're talking about Spy Family Volume 2. You know, my brain still wants to pronounce it Spy X Family, but I'm really making an effort not to pronounce that X. But yeah, we're back continuing this series as we have very recently started it with the second volume. And I guess, is there anything you'd like to say before we get into the characters, or should we just do it?
Can I just say that I'm really enjoying it?
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it much more than I thought I would.
Awesome,
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
Then we have chosen a good series to go with.
hmm
Let's start with Twilight, or Loid Forger, as we did last time. One thing I thought was kind of funny relatively early on in this volume was how he in his mind he sort of criticized the communication method that they use within that spy organization. Like
Yeah.
in the first volume we saw, several instances of like other spies like making like animal noises to give him like the cipher and stuff like that. And it is obviously very silly, but it was funny that in this book he actually pointed it out himself. And like in that chapter where he did it, there was like the whole like he was just served a bunch of food that started with
hmm
P. It's like so subtle.
So I took it that he disliked the food way of or like the like
Mm,
communicating through food or whatever. However, I think you make a good point. Just in general, it's all ridiculous.
right.
So I hope that now that you've said it, I hope it's a commentary on how much he hates the way they just communicate in general.
Right. Yeah. I at least that was how I read it. Obviously, I can definitely see it the way you pointed it out as well. But
But to be fair, the food one is pretty ridiculous. It's
it
like,
is,
oh,
it
come on.
absolutely is. But it also like seeing like people like saying like meow or ribbit or
That,
like stuff
yeah,
like that is like that's
absolutely.
not particularly subtle either.
So he has a new goal, or well, they got past phase one, and phase two is now
Yeah.
to get Anya into the Imperial Scholar, I guess group.
Exactly. So that was very interesting. And but he also had like he's got a plan B as well to like because he doesn't seem to necessarily believe that Anya will be able to make it there. So for her to become friends with Damian is the other alternative, which is yeah, it's interesting. But nothing is really nothing seems to be going very well at the moment.
Yeah, they basically entered into phase two now,
Mm.
but that anxiety that he experienced in phase one is not going anywhere. In fact, it may be even worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny how he kind of pointed out that anxiety like at least at 2 points I think in this book.
Mhm.
I do feel for him, but at the same time I can't help but laugh.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Because in the end, I think it may work out in ways that he just does understand, and obviously we have the perspective of the reader here, so we
Mm.
have that advantage. But I think in the end, things will fall into place so that their at least phase two will be a success.
Right. Yeah. One way or another.
hmm
But it is exciting to see how it's going to like how everything's going to fall into place.
Right, and I think that's what makes this manga so interesting right now. Is it feels like it's going to go in that direction, but you just not the way that Twilight and his association has planned.
Yeah, right. So he has like these two plans right now
hmm
that we've talked about. And for plan B, like he even I think he was responsible for making it so that Anya ended up in the same class as Damien.
hmm
So that was also pretty nice. But yeah, like I think you make a good point. Like it could be interesting to see like even another solution to this that we just can't think of right now. That ends up being the thing that works.
Oh well,
Could be fun. Or did I misinterpret you?
yeah. So I think that potentially it may be hilarious that both Plan B and Plan A are actually do work out in the end, because what I'm saying is that right now Twilight is just like this is hopeless. Like nine of these are gonna happen,
Ah, yeah.
or at least yet.
Hmm.
And so he's still trying, but it's not going as he foreseed it and how the association I assume would foresee it.
Right.
But I
Hmm.
think in the end Anya will get to that point where she does become friends with Damian. Becomes friends with Damian's, and maybe even somehow enters into that uh, Imperial Scholar group. I
Right.
forget what it
Y-
circle or whatever.
yeah. But they totally. I do have faith in Anya, even though things
Right.
aren't that easy. But I do have faith in her.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be by normal means
Oh yeah.
she will get into there. I don't think it's going to be because she's top of her class per se. It's going to be
Right.
something else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Something. I mean, and I'm feeling like Henry Henderson. He seems to
Mm-hmm.
have a liking for that family as a whole to some degree.
Indeed.
So maybe he will see some quality in her
Yeah.
that he can reward or something like that. Maybe.
But I understand why Loid is so worried. He's so worried that he follows Anya to school, and he's kind of just trying to give her a push in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was one of the funniest parts I thought when he kept like trying to influence her by giving her all those signals when she wasn't at school, like that she had to apologize to Damien. It was really funny to me.
It makes me wonder how hands-on he's going to be throughout this story,
Oh
or
yeah.
after this volume, does he just kind of, just okay, you know what, it'll or, like because towards the end of the volume, it seems like he kind of gives up on the plan B, in a way, because then he just focuses on studies, right?
Right, yeah, yeah.
So maybe he won't be as hands-on anymore. Then I don't know.
Hmm.
Either way, it was funny to see him at school and
Yeah.
just being taking the worried parent stereotype to the extreme.
Yeah, totally. But it's also funny because it's yeah, like it definitely is very similar to that stereotype, but knowing kind of his character, it's actually not
Mm-hmm.
because he's worried about Anya, it's because he's worried about the mission. So
Oh,
like it
that's
makes
fair.
it funny like on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
uh
Yep, yep.
I don't think I have anything more on Twilight, but go ahead if you do.
I really only have two more things,
Hmm.
and they come from the side story, which was quite enjoyable. I guess I'll just real quick say that the side mission where they go to the aquarium,
Yeah.
it was nice to kind of see Loid in his spy element outside of the main story. This is definitely
Right.
a kind of, at least I felt like it was a almost a filler type of a thing, but
Mhm.
I understand it's canon.
Yeah, actually, on that, in the
Hmm.
physical book, it said at the very start of that chapter, there was a little piece of text that basically said that that chapter was written. Obviously, it's not crucial to the overarching story. Like you probably could skip it,
Right.
without really missing out on anything. But it was written sort of as a like for someone who's new to the series could read this to kind of get an idea, sort of what
Oh,
the manga is like in a way. Like I think that was sort of the intention of it when it was
I can
published.
definitely see that.
Right, when it was published in the magazine at first, and then Tetsuya Endo wanted to include it in the volume because he thought it was a good chapter, which I agree with. It is a good
Yeah, it
chapter.
was hilarious,
Yeah, yeah,
and like its purpose, it does a great job in just basically setting up expectations for what this manga is about.
hmm
Really, not gonna lie, I kind of hope we get a side story for that centers on each of the main characters. So next one, maybe we get one that's kind of like yours,
mm.
trying to do her assassin job on the side,
Yeah, that could
or
be a lot of fun.
or maybe you have one for Anya. Although Anya does seem to be kind of one of the main focuses. Like she had a lot of focus in this volume.
True.
But I don't know. I think it'd be kind of fun to have these. And usually, I am a person who likes to have story every chapter and get to a certain plot, get to a certain point. But for this manga, it just seems, I don't know, kind of nice to have every now and again this episodic chapter where it shows Loid or Yor in their elements.
Right.
Anyway, So yeah, I enjoyed that chapter, and you could, like I was saying, you can see the brilliance and quick memory of Twilight on full display, being able to remember the names of all the penguins
Yeah.
and figure out how to feed all them.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Uh-huh.
Um, he said a line because the whole point of the aquarium was to keep up their family facade and
Mhm.
not have suspicious neighbors. But neighbors will always be suspicious. You know, got to gossip about something.
Yeah, right.
Um, but he says, flailing around trying to do whatever I can to maintain a happy home life. And that's basically a normal thing to say, but it's facts. And even if
Mm.
someone who's single, I think we're all just kind of like making up on the fly kind of a thing.
Totally. Like that's life, man.
Yeah.
That's just life.
So maybe he shouldn't be as hard as he is on himself,
Mm.
but I think that also comes with his perfectionism as a spy.
And I mean, he has like a lot of pressure on himself as well,
True.
not just from this mission being incredibly crucial to like the whole like the state of the world in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but also like his reputation having being like possibly the most famous spy in the world, sort of. Like
Yeah.
yeah, like that whole thing has got to put a lot of pressure on a person, I imagine.
Speaking of that pressure, I wish we didn't have to deal with all of these side cases though. I mean, yeah, it's fun to see and fun to read, but
Oh yeah,
you know, it's really taken a toll on him, and
definitely.
uh, you know, I want him to be a good father,
Of
even though
course.
it's all a facade. But at this point, but I don't know. Like I think it was just so wholesome to see him spend time with his family
Uh-huh.
and maybe relax a little bit, but he couldn't really because of the situation that he was put in. So
Yeah.
you know,
Right. And of course it's, we want this facade to not be facade anymore, eventually,
of course,
down the
eventually.
line. That's like the dream sort of. But I thought it was also like it kind of put his, I guess, fame into perspective in the chapter where they went to the castle where all the other
Ah.
spies showed up as
Mm-hmm.
like extras, sort of. That where that you could see like several of them were like, oh my god, I want to get his like autograph later, and like, oh my god, it's Twilight, he's so cool. Like it was really fun to see that.
Yeah, and everyone was so cooperative. Like they're just watching this kid play, pretend,
Yeah.
and they cheer at the end. He's like, "What is going on?" Like,
Yeah. That was great.
uh,
um,
hey, anything for Twilight, anything for the mission.
exactly, yeah. Like yeah, both of that really, yeah, for the mission and for Twilight, because everyone has so much respect for Twilight and obviously this
Hmm.
mission, yeah. So true. Right. Then should we move on to Anya Forger?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Then well, she got accepted into Eden Academy through the waiting list.
Through the way that you're right. So remember last discussion, I was really curious what that falling picture meant,
Oh yeah.
and I guess it was just an what's the word? Was supposed to
Mm, mm.
elude to the fact that she was going to fail the exam or not get in at
Right.
first. Um, so yeah, I guess that's where that comes from. But Henry Henderson being the awesome man he is, I really like this guy.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah, he was able to get her on that waiting list, and it all worked out in the end. And yeah, good for Anya.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. That I was really happy and seeing the three of them celebrate together or like when they just yeah, there
Hmm.
was like a one rather large panel if I recall,
Yeah,
where you just see the three of them just really happy together. That was really really nice to
very
see.
wholesome.
Very very wholesome, yeah.
I wonder if it was unnecessary drama, you know, why couldn't she just make the list? But I don't know. I mean, I think we got to see the Henderson assist, and
Right.
it worked out in the end.
Exactly. I agree. Like it was good like character I guess building for Henderson, and it also I guess gave like a little bit of extra suspense to it all. Because honestly, even on this reread, because I've only read this once and I only read it like as the chapters were coming out pretty much at the beginning,
Hmm.
and because of me having read it at such a slow pace the first time, I guess it makes it harder to remember all the details when you read it slowly like that, like one chapter every now and then. At least that's the way for me. So there is a lot of stuff I don't really remember. Like I remember the characters and stuff, but there's a lot of details that I've forgotten. So when this happened, when it turned out that she was on the waiting list, I thought for a moment that she wouldn't get in that quickly. Like there would be they would need something else, like something bigger to get to that. Obviously, I knew she would get in, but I sort of for a moment I thought it would take much longer and like require much more effort.
You're whittling down the waiting list and everything.
Yeah. That was also great. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, she got in anyway. She got into the school, and on her first day, she punches Damian right in the face.
One punch! It's like, boom!
One punch! Oh my god. I love that panel, too. Oh my god. This manga is just so good at making, like, really awesome panels. Like, funny panels, memorable panels, just iconic panels overall. Like, it's so good at that. I feel like every book has several of those types of panels.
For sure.
But she did kind of get away with it. Well, sort of get away with having punched him that way, since Henderson said she should have received three of those Tonitrus bolts. She should have received 3 of those, but he only gave her 1. So that was cool of him. She used that excuse that Damian had stepped Becky on the foot, and that she was actually doing it to protect Becky and all that. That was pretty smart of Anya, honestly.
She's quick on the fly.
Yeah.
Up to this point, she's just basically making it up as she goes, and I mean, I understand, but she's only not even 6, I don't think. But but she's still able to like basically worm her way out of things.
Yeah.
But not deceitfully so, I don't think.
No. I mean, obviously, she like Damian deserved to get punched. Like.
Yeah, they were a bunch of jerks.
Yeah.
I know this maybe say this comedy, but I love the way how she just turns around, looks at the teacher, just to check if he's looking, and then just decks him. Just absolutely wrecks him. Yeah. Oh, so good. Because I didn't think she was like crying over the side or anything, but I wasn't sure what she was doing when she turned her head around like that.
Yeah.
What's about to happen here? Then boom!
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like I also didn't understand like why she was looking in that direction at first, but then very, very good. And I mean, it's such a real thing kind of to do, like very realistic for like a kid in school to do. Like, of course you would look if there's teachers watching before punching another student. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And I thought there was like on that topic, I thought there were other times when it just felt so accurate, I guess, to real like little kids in school stuff, like the insults, for example, that some of the like the boys especially throw, like are so immature, but in a way that is like like that's exactly how it is. But it's like, as an adult reading this, it's obviously like it makes it just really funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Then there was a part where Anya sort of, when she fell asleep when she was studying, and Twilight put her to bed, she kind of mumbles, "No, Mama, don't kill Papa." And obviously Loid doesn't understand like what's going on, but I don't know, could that be some kind of foreshadowing to something that might happen later on in the story? Last time we kind of talked about the idea that maybe they'd have to have it, like maybe there'd be like a showdown or something between Yor and Loid at some point. So I don't know. Could be fun.
Yeah, I think it definitely could be a foreshadowing. Just what kind of confrontation could be happening in the future. And I think with some of the stuff we learned at the end of this volume, that confrontation is definitely looking more like a possibility in some way. Now, I'm not saying, and I know you're not saying this either, that Anya can see into the future in her dreams or anything like that.
Right, yeah.
But eventually, there's got to be some sort of revelation where they they all, well, I guess Anya already knows, but the other two find out about everyone's secrets. So
Hmm.
it'll be it kind of sets that up for the future.
Yeah, true. Future Sight could be pretty cool though, but yeah, that's not what she does.
It could be like maybe she does have that, but who knows? I like the before she went to punching, she took her mother's advice or yours advice with just giving a smile and everything like that.
Yes.
Um, and this facial expression she chose is just so great.
It is.
And I think it was true. That was the strongest weapon because it wounded Damian's pride
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
in his posse, I guess, and um, I'd say it was pretty effective. Like, Anya is said, "Mama lied. Like this isn't helping anything." But I think in reality, I think it may have turned Damian to think of it a different way. But obviously, it was the punch that really did it.
Yeah, right.
But I think that smile was probably to her benefit as well.
Right. In a way she hadn't anticipated, perhaps. Like I guess
Yeah.
she thought it would give a different outcome, but hey, yeah, as you said, yeah, it did work out ultimately. That was hilarious though, and her kind of realizing that, oh shit, this isn't working as I intended it for. uh, yeah, like Anya's face expressions throughout this manga are just brilliant. Like there's so many good ones. Like when she starts crying as she's apologizing to Damien, for example, that's also great. And but yeah, I think in this volume though, like that smile, like it's like a smirky smile, is definitely
Yeah.
definitely my favorite one of her expressions.
Have you ever seen the anime? I think it's called Real Life.
I've only heard of that one.
Long story short, there's a character who basically is so a little bit socially awkward, and she doesn't know how to get along with people very well.
Mm.
Can't express herself all the time, but she wants to make friends, and she wants people to see that she's a sweet person.
Mm-hmm.
And so the main character is like, okay, well, how about you try smiling? And so she smiles, but it's kind of similar to smile that Anya gives, and it's
Oh.
just kind of a smirk and like looking down on someone with a smile, kind of almost a Kaguya Okawaii Koto, you know.
Oh yeah, like how cute.
Yeah, how cute thing.
Ah,
So,
yeah.
but she doesn't mean that at all. She's just trying to smile, but she doesn't know how to smile properly. Anyway, so
Right.
it kind of remind me of that moment. And but this is a very funny take on it all, and
Yeah.
really great. And I'm sure we'll see many more amazing facial expressions
Oh, for
from Anya
sure.
going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. She's awesome.
I guess going farther back into the volume,
Hmm?
the first chapter was incredibly wholesome, where she asks to be saved. Or she has to be a princess. You know, the whole role play thing. We touched about a little bit about that, but
Uh-huh.
after all that, Twilight congratulates her, and they just kind of have a moment there, and I really like that.
Yeah.
Because as much as Twilight believes he's faking it, he really is a father figure
Oh
to
yeah.
her at this point.
Yeah.
You know, and that hearing that congratulations and doing all that for her meant so much. I bet.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's honestly it's touching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like cuz I think for Anya it's very real, or I think for her it is, yeah.
Yeah.
For Twilight, maybe he doesn't actively feel it, but I think a part of him, at least a lot of his actions and stuff like the scene that you mentioned, like makes it feel very
Right.
real. I think even from his perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I look forward to seeing more of this, maybe more frequently as well, perhaps.
I think of the three, Twilight is the one who needs a little more. I mean, it makes sense why, but
Mm,
a little more coaxing into
yeah,
believing him, believing that that can be a real family.
exactly.
but I think there are moments where whether he means to or not, it definitely shows that, and that means the world to Anya.
Yeah.
I loved her showing her dress to everyone in the park. That was really sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever been on a walk or just outside, but then you have some really sociable kids who just come up to you and just are adorable.
Yes.
That's what kind of remind me of, you know.
That's so true. Yeah, I didn't think of it when I read the chapter, but like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I have been on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess at the end of that chapter, Anya's like, "Train me in your ways, mother.
Yes.
Teach me. I must become stronger."
Yeah, and again, like with like these iconic and like just awesome panels. That's another one of my favorites, when Loid comes home and he's like, what are you doing? Getting ready for school. And they're standing there punching. It's so good. It's so good.
It's great stuff.
Uh-huh.
In that side story, I don't know if this was confirmed before, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've ever seen her read the minds of anything but humans before. But in this one, she was able to read the minds of penguins.
True, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
So I guess, and I mean, that would be so overwhelming if she was hearing every living creature's thoughts throughout the day. So surely she's able potentially to focus on what she's hearing at a time, which would be much healthier for her, I would hope, because if she's hearing all that and then she just tries to pinpoint the thoughts individually at all times, oh my gosh,
right,
that would be so bad.
I mean, well, we learn in the first volume that she doesn't like crowds because then there's just too many minds that kind of
that's true.
get into her. So I guess maybe, or this is just like me speculating on this, but maybe she hasn't, especially like maybe it's easier for her, I guess, to take in the thoughts of humans. But when it comes to other creatures, maybe she would require it would require her to maybe focus on them extra, perhaps. Because otherwise, I mean, ants and little things like are just everywhere. Would just like those sorts of minds would just get into her automatically if that was the case. So maybe humans kind of get to her easier, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe that could be it, or something like that. Or maybe it's just something that's not quite consistent. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
But I the fact that she can read the minds of animals is surprising. I thought it would just been humans.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So actually, that was a very interesting thing that chapter kind of, I guess, established. Yeah.
And then she fell asleep in class. Girl, I know the feeling. I've been there. And I think the teacher was equally as afraid of me.
Oh no.
To be fair, this was the incident I'm thinking of is college, not first grade.
I don't know which is better or worse, to be honest, though.
Hey, I got an A in that class.
Okay, good. I don't think I've ever like completely fallen asleep in class. I've absolutely been incredibly tired, of course, but never. I don't think I've ever actually fallen asleep.
I don't know, man. Sometimes it's just so warm, especially when it's like fall time, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm really sleepy. This guy is speaking in monotone.
Yeah. I
don't blame anybody.
True.
I can't.
True. Honestly, yeah, and it's like this kind of just mind-numbing sounds of the lecturers. Like, oh, it's like you're in like the backseat of a car.
Yeah.
And it's like that's that kind of sound. It just makes you fall asleep. Yeah.
What made it worse is that it was the front row.
Right.
Like absolutely front in the class.
And it wasn't just the front of the class. It was also like she was like one of two people on the front row.
Oh, I'm talking about myself. I was in the front row.
Oh, for yourself. Oh, for you. Okay.
Yeah. So was Anya. So I really can't relate to this situation.
Oh my god. Wow.
Hey, the teacher liked me. Okay, so it worked out.
Good. I'm glad.
Anyway.
Yes.
No. So, yeah, I think it's I don't blame her for falling asleep, but
Yeah.
I think she's gonna try harder going forward, as we see later on.
Right.
But anyway, that's all I have on Anya.
All right. Yeah, me too. Then let us move on to your Forger. So, I guess one of my favorite parts with her this volume was how she sort of came to terms with the fact that she can't be a quote unquote normal mother. But she also learned that Anya really likes her the way she is and for the person she
Absolutely.
is. Like she really understood that, and that she sort of will be able to, still be a mother to Anya in her own way. I thought that was a really nice part of this book.
Not only that, for me, it's just how much Yor is embracing the mother role.
Mm.
Like, she's coming into this using this as basically an alibi for herself, so that people don't get suspicious and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also to sort of appease her brother in a way.
Yeah, but still, but an alibi, if you will.
Yes,
So so the
absolutely.
brother doesn't have to
Mm.
worry.
Yeah.
I don't think that will be the case, unfortunately. But anyway, I'll step back real quick. I think it's really sweet of her to take on the role fully and be willing to be the mother for Anya instead of just kind of, you know, half-heartedly go about doing it
Yeah.
and only put up a facade or a face in public.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that easily could have been that kind of a situation, especially since she is not in a relationship with Twilight and has no obligation to care for Anya.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I think it's really sweet of her to, when those punks try to take Anya, she's like, "Get your hands off my daughter. I am their mother." Or
Yeah.
anyway, she basically just takes a stand on that, and I really like that.
Oh yeah.
This is kind of weird, but there's something about it, and I've heard that some women like it when, or find it very attractive when a man kind of has a fatherly side to him, or
Right.
shows like that parenting side. And I think the opposite is true. For me, I think if a woman shows her motherly side or willing to, protect her child, I don't know, I find that attractive as well.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, I think I think it's the same for everyone, regardless of gender. I think that trait in a person is an attractive trait to probably most people, I imagine.
Yeah. So I think Yor is very attractive in that sense.
Yeah, totally. And I think it also, a lot of it comes from her having sort of had this experience with her younger brother
True.
in the past. She having, pretty much raised him in a sense. Obviously, perhaps a bit different since she was definitely much younger then, but still, she has experience raising young kids. So
Yeah.
so maybe that's why it comes easy to her for her, or naturally for her to care for Anya as well.
Yeah. For sure.
And we sort of touched on this thing earlier, but I thought it was really funny how seemed, at least for a moment, she really seemed to seriously consider killing like some parent of the other kids that were accepted into the school just to get Anya in there. That was really funny. For a moment, because it doesn't show explicitly that it's just her in her mind. Like it's not super clear. So at first I thought it was actually happening. I was like, no, no, don't do it.
It was a brilliant way of showing what she was thinking.
Yeah.
Kind of having a fake out. Well done.
Yeah.
By the mangaka.
Absolutely.
We touched on this last discussion, or kind of theorized it, but she says, "I can try cooking," which that's an like
right.
Try cooking. So let me guess, you don't cook, like you've never cooked before. She doesn't even know what vegetables are or what goes well together.
Yeah.
Other than like, oh, this carrot looks like could be useful for my work. The day I'm stabbed by a carrot.
Right.
So it makes me wonder, when she was raising Yuri, did she not ever cook? Did they just eat out all the time? Like what?
Maybe we'll get an explanation to that down the line.
You know, I think you're right. I think we will.
Then later in the volume, after Anya sort of got sick of studying, she refused to keep studying, and Twilight didn't really know how to teach her or how to motivate her. I sort of talked to him, and I think they had a really nice conversation there.
Yeah.
During it, I know there was a point, I think near the end of that conversation, Yor sort of apologized for butting in, or for giving her 2 cents on it. But obviously Twilight was very appreciative of her advice, and he was happy to that she had his back and all of that on those sorts of things. And that was another one of those really wholesome and very sweet moments between the main characters of this in this book.
Absolutely. And I think Yor showed that she can be a great support to both Anya and Loid, and I don't give some great advice. She's definitely has those airhead moments.
Yeah.
Like when she was thinking about the problems she was going through, her little crazy phase, and then she's like, 5s look like S's, which I don't know if that was supposed to be a assassin thing or if that was just her being an airhead.
I think it's more so the latter, probably.
But anyway, so she has those moments, but at the same time she's very sweet and is very supportive. And yeah, I think this family deserves a lot more credit than they give themselves. I think they're gonna be just fine, Petter. They're gonna be just fine.
I agree. Such great characters. Like, we're only 2 volumes in, but I feel like
they're so easy to like.
Right, exactly. Right. They're so lovable, all 3 of them. Oh, so good. Really, really well written.
Well, I think the last thing I have on Yor is that she gets mad drunk in the first chapter. So I guess she's. I don't. That didn't happen last volume, did it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So I guess give her a bit of alcohol, and she's one of those stereotypes.
Yeah.
Anime tropes.
I mean, Frankie was the same though. it seemed like.
Maybe? I think Frankie could hold it a little better than Yor.
True.
I think Yor was a little more drunk.
That is fair. Yeah, she sort of started hitting Loid, maybe a bit too violently, and yeah.
And I wonder if in the future, if they do have chances to drink again, maybe that assassin side that she usually keeps, hidden, comes out again, in various probably funny ways.
Fair, yeah. That should be interesting. But speaking of her, I guess, getting drunk easily and stuff like that, or at least enjoying herself a glass of wine, or several.
Yeah, she kept
at the page right after in the physical volume anyway, right after the final chapter, which is the extra chapter, you flip that page, and the next page is just an image of the whole page is just a picture of Yor lying kind of passed out on the couch, and Anya putting a blanket over her, and she's having she's holding Yor is holding a wine bottle in her hand. It's pretty sweet though.
Oh no. Every time you describe stuff that's in these volumes, I know there's so little, not just Spy Family, but other series we cover. It was like, yeah, I want to start buying them, but money and space.
Yeah.
Mostly space.
Right. Yeah, no, I do understand that.
Because that sounds cute, or
it is really
funny,
cute. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, but I guess that's it on Yor.
Yep.
Then let's move on to her little brother, Yuri Briar. So, he was only mentioned, and I think we maybe heard his voice in the telephone last volume, but we actually get to see him properly in this one, and turns out he's a lieutenant of the State Security Service, also known as the Secret Police, and he's out to get Twilight, because that's an enemy of his, obviously.
Little does he know.
And he can be really scary sometimes.
I saw that coming.
Yeah.
Not because he was potentially in the police. Like, I wasn't sure what he was doing. I honestly thought it could be another assassin type of job, but it turned out to be secret police.
Mm.
But I think that the scariness and the violentness that he can have
Yeah.
was evident in how overprotective he seemed
Oh yeah.
about his sister.
Right, or like obsessed very much with his sister.
Obsessed, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And you definitely see that, showing in this volume. Even when he's thinking about where his sister bruised or broke his ribs or whatever it was, and he still feels the pain from it. But he kind of is like, is grateful almost about it.
Mm.
Yeah, it kind of treats it really weirdly. So
yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, no, it's funny. So I guess at the very least, I'm excited to see what happens in his little visit here. I don't know. I'm sure it'll be chaotic, whatever happens.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I also thought it was funny how he didn't actually get to hear from his sister that she had gotten married. I mean, she didn't actually get married, but well, I guess
it escaped her mind.
Officially, I guess she's married. Yeah, and he heard it like from that other guy that he met.
Yeah. I hope he's a little bit suspicious. I mean, I guess while he was walking there, he wondered why it took a year for him to hear about their marriage.
Exactly.
Even though technically it's only been a few weeks.
Yeah.
But he took it that he must be an abusive man.
Right. He is suspicious of Loid, although for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Right. I was pretty sure that he was going to be the sister obsessed,
Oh yeah.
type of person. I think we both were thinking that.
Yeah, and it became very, very clear in this book. And I like how when Yor is telling her coworkers about her brother, and like she shows them a picture, and like at first they're all like, "Oh my god, he's so cute! Oh my god, you should hook me up with him," or like something like that, and then she tells them that like he loves her so much, and that he always like dotes on her and stuff like that, and then they're like, that's kind of creepy, or that's kind of weird.
One of those kind. Pass.
It's like he's in love with you. But yeah, it was fun to get him. Actually, I had completely forgotten that he was introduced this early, or like with like his actual appearance this early in the story. So I was very happy to see him in this volume.
Yeah.
But anything more on him?
Nah.
All right, then let's move on to Becky Blackbell, the girl that Anya becomes friends with in her class, and
basically BFFs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I thought they had like the friendship that started forming between them seemed really, really wholesome and sweet throughout this book. And unlike many of the other kids in the class, she seems very independent, like independent enough to not suck up to Damian the way like a lot of the other kids were doing.
Yeah.
So I thought, I respect her a lot for that.
For sure. And how she, even though the rumors of Anya punching Damian, I mean, it was true, but yeah, just all those rumors, like she knew who Anya was, and she's basically an anchor for Anya in what could potentially be a tough climate at school.
Yeah.
To start off with, so I'm glad she's there, and yeah, she kind of had those thoughts at the very beginning about that. Well, that were maybe the nicest to Anya, although I don't really blame Becky for thinking that, especially with her background and Anya looking so young. Yeah, so I don't really blame her, but she's obviously turned around and had an opinion change, and now and I think she was always like this, but just is a really good person and a great friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she was the only one that sat with Anya when everyone else were like keeping their distance as much as they could in the classroom.
Right.
So yeah, props to her for that.
And honestly, I think the advice that she was giving Anya about not worrying about Damian in real life, if this wasn't a mission type of situation, it'd be great. She's got a point.
Yeah.
Wow, smart 6-year-old.
Absolutely.
Like you don't need to give him the time of day. He's just a jerk. But obviously that ran counterintuitive to the entire thing.
on that topic, as you know, Twilight was sort of observing it, and from his perspective, it seemed obviously that like she was sort of disrupting Anya's attempt to apologize to Damian, and we learned also through his thoughts in that moment that the Desmond group and the Blackbell groups are business partners. That's something that Twilight knew, and that just made me he Twilight also just kind of he sort of disregarded that thought because it seemed kind of ridiculous also, but and I think he was right to disregard it because it seems maybe a bit far-fetched, because as you said as well, like Becky's actions there to try to get Anya away from that whole thing is really just a natural, or not, maybe not natural necessarily, but yeah, like a smart move.
Right.
But it sort of, I guess it's interesting to me to know that their families are business partners, considering how poorly Becky and Damian are getting along at school.
Good point.
Like, I guess they're just kids, so I guess maybe I shouldn't think too much of it, but it's still interesting that they are basically mortal enemies in school. Meanwhile, apparently their parents are business partners.
That's a good point. Maybe there is something to that. Although, and not saying you were applying this, but if there were any nefarious reasonings behind Becky keeping Anya away from Damian, surely Anya would be able to read her thoughts. I mean, she can't just not be thinking about that, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly. I actually that's also something that I thought of, that I feel like since Anya is so, well, since she seems to really like Becky that much, like so much, and all that, I would also assume that there's nothing beneath the surface there, probably.
Right. Right. But maybe that relationship will play a part going forward.
Right.
I didn't think too much about that, but yeah, the fact that they're both there at school,
right,
could lead to some interesting plot points.
Definitely. Shall we move on to Damian then?
Yes.
Go for it.
He's a snot-nosed, spoiled brat. And
oh yes.
Not too many redeeming qualities yet, but I think he's one of those characters that, as time goes on, and it's going to be a slow burn, but I think his personality will change, and he'll realize the errors of his maybe narcissistic and pompous ways, arrogant ways, and I think Anya would be one to help him with that. What I do know about Damian is he clearly has a little crush on Anya.
Yeah.
And I was kind of feeling that even before the punch. I thought because I had in my mind that things won't go the way Twilight expects.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, what if Anya somehow woos Damian? That'd be funny, right? And then it kind of started happening. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, dude. And I also started having those thoughts, like, I guess before it got very obvious, because I feel like it was in the scene where she apologized, where it got like really, really, really obvious.
Yeah.
But then because I was, as I was taking notes as I was getting through the volume, I took the note. I think I wrote down something like, I low-key think Damian is like subconsciously crushing on Anya. But then that scene came and I was like, oh, okay, it's not low-key anymore.
It's not low-key. No way. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, but he's very much in denial though about it.
Oh, sure. And that's depends on the kid, but for a 6-year-old, I think that's girls are the enemy sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think that's pretty good adaptation by the author there.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I'm excited to see where Damian's character growth, if there is any. I think there could be.
Oh yeah.
But what kind of role he plays and how his and Anya's friendship grows, and add Becky into that mix, it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like there's so much potential in these characters, like Damian and Becky, for example, that were introduced in this book. So I'm excited to see how everything's gonna progress from there.
Right.
Anything more on him?
No.
All right, then a bit on Henry Henderson. He was put in charge of Anya's class.
Yeah.
A demotion supposedly, since he well, being in charge of the first years wasn't really what he was doing before, supposedly. But since he punched Swan in the face, I guess that's what got. That's what happened.
It's probably for the best.
Right, exactly. It's a good thing for our protagonists.
He's a champ.
He is.
I think that he has a, you know, he rules with an iron fist kind of a thing, but at the same time, I think he's a reasonable person who values elegancy.
Oh yes,
very much so. But I think it's a good ally to have. He's a good ally to have at this point.
Yeah.
And it may not be completely easy for their family, but I think it will work out.
Definitely, I do agree. Moving on to Frankie a little bit. I guess the only thing I got on him was I really thought it was fun and kind of sweet how he was taking Anya's side when, you know, after she got into the school where she was accepted into the school, and he was taking her side a lot when Loid was being maybe a little bit hard, and like he was the one that gave her the idea to, you know, be rewarded for getting into the school. So that was nice. Mm-hmm.
Scruffy, yeah. Just points. Scruffy.
Yeah. So is that it on him, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really don't have anything.
Yeah. Then I have two others, very, very brief mentions mostly, but Twilight's handler, I think that's what the only thing she was referred to as, the lady with the hat.
Right, the blonde lady.
Yeah. She didn't get a name, did she?
I didn't see one.
Yeah, I don't recall it either. So she's yeah, but she appeared twice, I think, and yeah, she was just the one that sort of informed us about kind of the Imperial Scholar Honor Program at Eden Academy, and kind of how to achieve that. But yeah, maybe we'll see more of her in the future.
I'm sure we will.
Mm-hmm. And the very last character that I have noted down here is, I think it was at the beginning and the end of the first chapter, if I recall, we saw like a man sitting in a chair looking at like a screen, but we saw him from behind. And
oh yeah,
it seemed like maybe he could have been like the leader of that spy organization that Twilight works for, perhaps. Although,
or at least like it, you know, some sort of captain or chief,
true,
or something like that.
True. At least some high-ranking person at the very least. Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out in case that becomes relevant in any of the future volumes.
Yeah.
Is there any other character that we missed that you want to talk about?
No, I think we covered everything.
Sweet. Then let's move on to the comedy.
Awesome.
Well, the whole castle scene was just hilarious. Like, there was so many things, but I think my favorite thing from that was when Yor started attacking Twilight. Obviously, you know, we talked about that. She was drunk and she attacked Twilight in that scene. And he, like, as she's doing that, he's like legitimately like, she's going to kill me. It's like his thoughts are go like that. It's like that was just such a funny, like, just legitimate, like, oh my god, no, I'm gonna die. It was really, really funny.
I like Henderson's his supposed excuse for getting them so many points so they can be on the wait list. You know, Twilight or Loid saved their lives by killing the mosquito. You know, that was,
yeah.
It's like, really.
Yeah, that was great.
But quick thinking, I guess.
Right.
Some of these other things we mentioned, but one thing we didn't was when Anya, they're at the beginning ceremony, and Anya's looking around. I was like, everyone's wearing the same thing as me. That's how uniforms work, honey.
Yeah, that was also great. There's so many, like, it seems like kind of simple jokes to make, but it just really works in this kind of setting, I guess, or with these characters. It's so good, so good. I really liked it near the end of this book when they had to get ready for Yuri to arrive, and they prepared the lovey-dovey marriage kit. And Anya said, like, she just pointed at them. She said, "Papa and Mama are gonna kiss." And that was.
I wonder how many times she's gonna do that. Because this is the second time.
Yeah. I love that.
That'd be kind of a funny reoccurring gag.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe eventually they will kiss.
Aha!
I really hope so.
I love after she punches Damian and she's getting in trouble. She's like, "I just held up my hand and he walked into it." and the face that she makes when she says that is so great.
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly, makes it hard to believe her, but hey, nice try.
Yeah, nice try.
And actually, this probably, I don't know, since you don't read the physical book, you maybe didn't get this, but between chapter 11, which was the last actual chapter of this book, like between that chapter and the bonus or extra mission chapter, there was like a 2-chapter, or not a 2-page thing, like a little bonus thing, where they're just kind of like the family's just kind of out doing some stuff. And there was a part from that I just wanted to point out that I thought was really funny, was that they went to the pool, and Anya is just really excited to get into the water and have fun, and she gets in, and she hears like the thoughts of some boys in the pool, and they're like, I hope no one noticed that I just peed in the pool. And she's like, nope, they're just getting it right out of the water, and it's like, I never want to do this again.
Poor child.
That was something I just had to point that one out because it was just a really funny bit, I thought.
Dang, I would have liked to read that.
You would have.
The heck? The physical volume is far superior. I know.
I guess it is. It's like 3 boys standing in the water, like, and I don't know if all of them have those thoughts. It's like, it just looks, but they all look really derpy. So I guess all of them just peed in the water. And I'm like, and Anya's reaction, like, oh no.
Nope.
And she has like a swimming hat, or what do you call it? Like the hat you put over your hair, like a tight
cap.
Hat. Yeah, swimming cap.
Swimming cap.
Yeah, she has that, and you can still see like the horn shapes, sort of like she has like in her hair, like those cones are still like underneath the swimming cap. It's very cute. Anything more on comedy?
It's so small, but Becky trying to figure out who was calling her. She's like, "Hello."
Oh yeah.
Anybody?
Right.
She's like, I don't know. It's such a small thing, but it made me laugh.
No, it was really funny. Another one of those small little sort of end of chapter gags was when the guy that Loid took the appearance of at the Penguin place. He apparently like he was promoted to like be in charge of everything on his first day, and he was like, "Oh, what the hell? Like what's going on?" Also really funny like that. I have one last thing, for me at least, that I wanted to point out for funny things, and it's also probably a physical volume exclusive, I think, because it's like the very, very last page of the book. We get a list of Anya's favorite things, and it's represented with images, but it's also like in words, and I'm gonna list it all because it's pretty great. So we got
peanuts.
Peanuts is there, yes. We got the peanuts. We got the chimera. We got spy cartoons, bombs, silenced pistol, castles, penguins, her uniform, Papa, and says in parentheses a liar, Mama in parentheses a savage, and it says Becky in parentheses milady. So that was really good. And then there's
tip your fedora when you say that. Milady.
And then at the corner of that page there's like the head of Frankie, and he's like, "What about me? Don't I make the list?" And he's like really shocked. So yeah,
you're on the scruffy list.
Exactly, he's on the scruffy list. He's the only one on the scruffy list.
So I just real quick a few things. A message from God, like I like that line.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that a 6-year-old would be thinking that.
Yeah.
Then the sorry omelet line.
Oh yeah.
It's it's funny because my second read through it was funnier to me just because while obviously it was Loid giving her the message to apologize, it's even funnier that if you think about it in the context of like for Becky, you know, Anya was served this omelet that just says sorry, like this pathetic food. I'm sorry.
That was what made me laugh the most was Becky's comment. Like, remind me to never get that omelet.
Yeah. And last thing I think I have is two more things. That is incorrect in every possible way. I thought that was a classic, like so good, like
3/3.
You know, she's so confident, and he's like, that is incorrect in every possible way. But she does kind of almost get the fractions when she figures out that how much ammo the guy has left in his pistol or his gun or whatever. And then she's just like 2/8 of ammunition.
Yeah.
And just she has like an epic pose when she says that.
Yeah. And she says it twice, like when her mom comes, like when Yor comes home.
Yeah.
She says it again.
And Yor comes in. And she's like 2/8 of ammunition. And Yor's like, anyway.
Yeah.
And she goes on. It's pretty great.
And I also love how I can't remember if it's happened before, but at least with that word ammunition, how she said it, or at least how it was spelled when she said it.
Yeah.
What was really funny, and I can't remember if it happened before that at any point, but yeah, it's just a very funny, like, I guess shows her child side a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, and I think less comedic, but just, you know, potentially going forward, if Loid can help her learn her schoolwork through the things she enjoys, in this instance, the Spy TV series, then that could be really beneficial for her, and she learns new vocabulary, the math, so it could be good.
Yeah. That's great. I guess the only thing that I really got or that I wanted to shed a little bit of light on, or to sort of praise a bit, is the cliffhanger that this volume leaves us with.
Oh, yeah.
Yuri coming home to visit, and they open the door, and then boom, extra chapter, or extra mission 1 ends the volume, and that's obviously not super relevant right there, but yeah, very exciting.
So how the chapters are released on the Shonen Jump app is that the extra chapter is 8.1, so it's in between 8 and 9.
Gotcha. I see.
So it breaks up the whole school section of the volume.
Oh, I see.
Instead of being at the end of that one. So I mean, it works either way because it is just one of those side stories that you just fit anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
But having the door open up to their home, and that's the cliffhanger was. Man. It got me pretty excited to read volume 3.
Totally. And you can see like everyone has like this very like almost exaggerated smile on their face. All 3 of them on those last 2 pages. But then you also see like at the bottom of both of those last pages, you see Yuri's and Twilight's like eyes being like, like, I got my eye on you. Like, it's very, very good.
I'm excited to see in what ways they prove to Yuri that they're a couple, a lovey-dovey couple, besides just aesthetics.
Exactly. Yeah, because this is sort of like the interview at the school, but sort of like the next level. Like, it's because this is someone that knows Yor very, very well.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, it should be a bigger challenge than the school interview. To prove.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if Yuri will start drilling Loid about certain things about his sister. I mean, knowing Loid, maybe he's prepared. Maybe he knows exactly what to say.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe could be something that surprises him.
Yeah. I can't wait. This will be a lot of fun. Very exciting.
So a couple like predictions as questions I have.
Mhm.
Will Yuri learn the truth about Twilight?
Mm.
I don't think so yet, because it seems that knowing his position, he would quickly go to the Secret Service or the secret police
Mm.
and report him in. But it also could be that he doesn't do it to keep his sister happy. So he like finds out, but then he just keeps quiet. Tries to prove to his sister that Loid is Twilight maybe. And I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking of what ways it could go down.
Right.
And I'm wondering in this volume, since we'll probably get maybe some backstory to Yor and Yudi's childhood, will we learn why Yor is an assassin? Like why she was it kind of ended up taking that livelihood, I guess. Or is that going to be saved for even later on? I don't know. And then lastly, something that Yuri was really upset about was the man that he was interrogating for treason about.
Right.
And in the first volume, Yor had a bit of a righteous fury kind of well, when she went to take out like this I guess corrupt politician or something like that.
Oh yeah.
She basically accused him of treason, and I believe or something along those lines.
Right.
And so it makes me wonder if that idea of treason is important to both of them.
Yeah.
And maybe has something to do with their parents. Not saying their parents necessarily betrayed their country, but maybe the actions of someone else who betrayed the country ended up affecting Yor's mother and father, and that's why they were not there during their childhood.
Right, exactly. I mean, regardless, I think that's something that should be interesting to learn more about. Like, why did the two of them grow up without parents? Or at least, like, why and when did the parents kind of leave the whole picture?
Right. I mean, I guess they could be in jail or dead, but I'm sure they didn't leave them. I guess they could have. You don't know. We don't know the story.
True, we don't know. But yeah, that is also something I'm very excited to learn more about. Mm-hmm. There's so much about like so many things like that. Like, well, like with Yor, we got this big thing, and with and like sort of on top of that, like why and how she ended up doing the work that she does. And
right.
And with Anya, we have the whole like the organization that turned her into a telepath. Like I'm dying to learn more about that whole backstory. And with Twilight, while we know his profession, we don't really know anything at all about his past, like his life before he became a spy or anything like that. We know his life now is dedicated to his work, but surely there was a time before that when he had a normal life, Mm-hmm. And we know nothing at all about that. We don't even know his name. So that's also something I would like to get more info on as the story goes.
For sure.
But yeah, that's the second volume.
Woot! I was at the store the other day and I saw that I think it was volume 6 was out on the store shelves.
Yes, it is. I have it actually. I have up to volume 6 in my bookshelf. Although I haven't read the 6th one. I've only read up to 5.
Of course.
But yes, 6 is out. And 7 is coming out next year in April, so it's a while actually.
Oof! Wow, that's a long time to wait. Well, I mean, at least there's still for us including 4 more volumes.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's at least we have that many more weeks, I suppose. But
right.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those up and coming mangas that I'm hearing a lot of people get very excited about and have a lot of praise for. So
yeah,
I'm glad we were able to. I mean, sometimes I like having a lot of material to cover, but it's also nice. But from a different perspective, it's nice to kind of be here towards the beginning and see how the series grows.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a lot of fun. Plus, we're able to catch up with it much quicker than we did with Kaguya-sama and To Your Eternity.
That's true.
So yeah. But I guess that is it for this week. If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 3. Bye bye.
See you later.
So I basically have the same project that I always record in, like same Logic project file. So I have like all of the opening and closing music pieces in there, as well as the tracks that I edit, like you're in my tracks, and like basically it's the same project always. I just replace our recordings.
Okay.
So I can keep settings on the tracks, for example. I can keep settings on our voices and stuff like that.
Right.
Without having to do it over every week.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, it works really well. But now when I pushed the recording button. I hadn't muted the Titan Tea Time opening theme track, so it started playing in my ears when I started recording.